In this video series, we're going to go over how you can set up your first website. Your website is your portal to the online world, whether you are a stick and brick business, or in other words, a physical business, or whether you run a digital business where your whole business is run online. You always are going to need a website in either case. These days, almost every stick and brick has its own website. Now, fortunately, it isn't that difficult to do, and it certainly isn't expensive to get started. I will show you two different ways that you can get your website up, with the only expense being registering a domain name. The domain name is your address on the internet, so your www address, and your hosting account is something you also need, and it is where your files are stored on the internet. Now, both of these together cost very little. Your domain name will cost maybe $14 a year, and your hosting will cost maybe $4 a month. And those are your only expenses to getting your website set up. We're going to use all free tools to get our website set up as well, so there's no expense for web design. And now your first step is going to be to register a domain name for your business or for your hobby or whatever it is you're doing here. But in any case, you're going to need a domain name. There's a couple of places you can get these. Well, there's more than a couple, but the most popular ones are Namecheap. So it's namecheap.com. This is what's called a domain registrar. So you register a domain here and you pay it for a year or more. Okay, so what you do is you go down to the domain search, and then you would search on the domain name you want. Now, if you have a business name, then you would want to search on the business name here and see if it's available. If you're just doing something in general, like you have an interest in cooking, you might want to look on here and say recipe online. Okay, now you see over on here, this is the extension of your domain name. So you can use .com, .org. There's several other ones here. You should try and stick with .com if you can. They're the most popular. You could also use .org or .net. Most of the rest of these you probably shouldn't use. They're not as popular, not as memorable. Of course, if you're going to do an adult type site, then you'd be using the XXX extension. And then there's the .info one. Some people use those for information sites, and they work okay for that. Okay, so once you've done that, you just click search here, and it'll go through and see if the domain name is available. You see here it says it's not available, and then it gives you some other alternatives down here. So you would just keep searching here until you find the domain name you want. Now, the other place you can go is GoDaddy. And it works similarly. You just put your domain name in here. So, recipe collection. And it'll go through. And you'll see here it says myrecipecollection.com is available. However, look at the price. See, somebody is selling it for $4,288. Then you renew it through the registrar. So this is what's called a premium domain name. Somebody's already bought it and is trying to sell it through GoDaddy. Alternatively, it gives you some other choices down here where you can go and see if you want any of these ones. Okay, so you get the idea. Now, once you find one that you want, you're going to go through and register it. Now, if you can't find the domain name you want, you may be able to find one by adding or taking letters out. For instance, you can put the word my in front of a domain name, like I did before, my recipes. And see here, I got Beam and then meupscotty.info. Okay, so if I was going to register this one, this would probably be for a Star Trek site. Okay, so I am going to do this. I'm going to register this domain name to take you through the process. I'm going to put use an info domain in this case because this is just going to be information about Star Trek. Okay, so that's the process you go through. You just find the domain name you want, and then you go through and you add this to your cart. So let's do that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the checkout. And in here you'll have to set up a account, which is free. Now if you want to, you can usually get web hosting through your domain registrar. Now I don't like to have all my eggs in one basket here, so I'll recommend another hosting provider. So I'm going to go no thanks here. Now I just see here it's telling me that I have domains expiring, so I could go ahead and register them at the same time here, but that's not what this is about, so I'm just going to go no thanks. Okay, now you see here that it's come in and put me at 5 years. I'm going to just register it for 1 year. You can also get privacy. What it does is it will protect your whois information. You can look up who owns a domain name and their information using a whois lookup. And with this, it'll just show a private company's name here, and your name won't appear anywhere. I don't usually do this. In some cases I would if I want it to be private. If I don't really care, then I will just leave it as it is. And then you usually get some discounts if you want to use multiple domains here. So we can add all of these domains for $13.98. But I'm just going to go with this one. So we have the price of the domain registration, and then you have an ICANN fee. This ICANN fee is by the providers of the domains. Okay, so we'll proceed to the checkout. Okay, and then if you're a new customer, you can sign up right at this point. If you're an existing customer, then you can go and put in your information here, and then we'll just go and finish it off. Okay, now after you've set up your account or signed in, if you already have an account, you can choose your payment method. So if you've already set up a preferred payment method, you can use credit, debit, prepaid card, PayPal, checking account, or gift card. So we're going to continue. Okay, and there we go. We have now completed our domain registration. Okay, now the next step we have to do is set up our hosting account. Now we're going to talk about web hosting. There are a lot of choices out there when it comes to web hosting, but I would suggest HostGator. They have several different plans you can use when you're getting started. And for when you're beginning, it's fine to use what's called shared hosting. And you'll see here it starts at $3.99 a month. So let's go here and view the web hosting plans. Okay, so you have Hatchling, Baby, and Business. Now we can compare all hosting plans by clicking here, and it brings up a table for us that'll show us everything we get. Now the plan I would suggest when you're starting out is the Baby plan. The reason I don't suggest the Hatchling plan is because you only can register a single domain name. As you see here, domains allowed one, whereas with the Baby plan you're allowed unlimited domain names. Now chances are you're going to want to put more than one website up at some point, so you would have to go and upgrade your account or buy another Hatchling plan or another Baby plan, or at least another hosting plan of some sort if you went with the Hatchling. Okay, so that's why I suggest the Baby plan. The Business plan gives you quite a bit more stuff, but when you're starting out, the Baby plan is fine. It gives you everything you need. You have unlimited domains, you have unlimited number of databases, which is important if you're putting up other types of sites. You have unlimited subdomains, unlimited FTP accounts, so it has everything you need right off the bat. Okay, so let's close this. Okay, so what you would do is click on Order Now. And then you would click over here where I already have a domain name. I put my domain name in here that I just registered. Okay, so you see it's brought up some other choices for me again if I wanted to secure those domain names. And you pick your package type, so we're going with baby. And then you pick how you want to pay. So a lot of times you'll pay more if you just register by the month than you would if you do a multiple months or a year. I'm just going to go with 1 month. Now, here's where you set up your account, your username, security PIN. You put in your billing information, and you go through the registration process. Okay, so this is what we'd pay down here. Now notice that it's sneakily added in some hosting add-ons here. So we've got Silent Lock, Code Guard. Let's take those out. Okay, now I would have $7.96. And I would, at this point, I would go ahead and create the account. And I don't need to do this because I can host multiple domains on the account I already have. But you would go through this, and what will happen is they're going to send you an email with your name servers on it. And then you need to point your name servers on your domain name to your hosting account. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Okay, now in your welcome email after you've signed up, you should find in there something like this, your name servers. So in my case, these are the name servers that I have to set. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to GoDaddy, which I registered this at. So wherever you register at, there'll be a place where you can manage your domains. So I'm going to go and launch here. Okay, so you'll have your domain names in a list here. So as you see, it's the first one here. So let's click on that. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to change our name servers. So you see here it says name servers. Those are the ones that it put in there by default. So what we're going to do is click manage. Now what we're going to do is just put our name servers in here. So this is my name server 1. So I grab this piece. Okay, so what we have to do is click on custom here. And then we're going to want to do enter custom name servers. Okay, so let's just put our name server in here. So I just pasted that from my document. And then we can go back here and put the second one in. You'll always have at least 2. There can be more. So if there's more than the 2, you can just add name server and keep on going. Let's click OK. And there we go. I'll click Save. And it has now changed our domain name servers. Now on a freshly registered domain name, this could take up to half an hour for it to be available for you to use. If it's been registered for longer than that, for like it's been registered for several days, it could take up to 24 hours before it will propagate and be available. Okay, now your hosting account comes with a control panel, and all you have to do is type in your domain name. So in my case, it would be beammeupscotty.com/ and then the word Cpanel, just like you see up here, Cpanel. Hit enter, you'll get a login screen. And then once you're in, you'll see something like this. It may not be exactly the same. Now, actually, in my case, this is going to be an add-on domain. So if you've already registered a domain name before and you want to register another domain name, then I'll go through the procedure with you, because that's what I did here. I have a main domain name on my account already, and I'm going to add this domain name into here. Now, you don't have to do this, of course, if this is your first domain name you've ever registered. But down the road, you may register some more, so you're going to want to know how to do this. Okay, so you want to roll down until you see domains, and then you'll see add-on domains. So click there. Okay, and then I put my new domain name here. Okay, now keep in mind that you're not going to be doing this unless you are registering a second, third, 10th, or whatever domain name. You won't need to do this for the main domain name when you set up your account. Okay, so here we go. It's given me a directory within my hosting account where all these files will reside. Okay, so now you just set up your password, and you can just use a password generator for that. Okay, then I just click Add Domain. Okay, so at this point I've got my add-on domain name in here. Okay, so at this point we're ready to go on with getting our site set up.